Hey everyone, it is Friday. Y'all asked for Alexis to be back in the video, so here she is. We've received a lot of questions, so we're going to answer as many as possible. It's going to be impossible to answer them all, but hopefully we could get to them in 2 weeks. This was a question that was asked several times, and it is, does your girlfriend identify as a member of the LGBT community? So I'll let her answer that.
I do identify as a member of the LGBT community. And really, I don't like to put any sort of label on my sexuality, but for the sake of, I guess, the existence of labels, I like to identify as bisexual, but to get complicated, I just identify as queer.
I recently came out to my parents as trans, FTM, and I realized that I don't know how to help them feel comfortable about it. Any suggestions? My suggestion is to just give your family time, your parents time. It takes time to readjust to a new situation, so give your parents time and eventually they will get comfortable with it. My parents were not comfortable with it when I first came out, but after they were exposed to me being out for a long time, they got comfortable with it, and now it's like, no big deal at all. Ryan, how did you decide you were trans? I didn't decide, I just figured it out about myself. Trust me, I don't think anyone would decide to be trans because it is a harder life than being a cis person. I found out I was trans when I was 14 when I met another transgender person, and I just connected all the puzzle pieces and put it together. I have a question for Ryan. I was curious if you would ever date a guy. I know you are a boy, but does this mean you have a sexual preference? I'm just curious, and I hope this isn't offensive. Okay, so this is a good question because it's important to know that gender and sexuality are completely different things. Your gender does not determine your sexuality. How do you introduce Ryan to friends and what not?
I feel like a lot of people think that I'll introduce him as like, this is my boyfriend Ryan, the transgender man or something. I don't know, but that's not what I do because it's not my place. But I just introduce him as my boyfriend because that's what he is.
Did you fall in love without knowing Ryan was trans?
I was clueless that Ryan was trans until I had the chance to Google his name because everyone was telling me, oh, Ryan, famous, Google him. So I found out through the internet, and before I had the chance of doing that, I didn't know that he was trans, so in a way, yes, I did fall in love with Ryan before I found out he was trans.
Aww. Okay, were you a lesbian or bi before?
Yes.
What? Yes! What? Were you a lesbian or bi before?
I never identified as a lesbian. I have identified as bisexual.
Ah! It's funny. Were you a lesbian before?
What? Swivel around.
Babe, before you met me, were you a lesbian or bi?
Bi.
And now what are you?
Ryan sexual.
Good. My question is, what does it mean if you are not a trans guy but have a real problem with your chest? I thought I would get over it, but after several years, I realized it's just how I feel, so I bought a binder and am suddenly overwhelmingly more confident. What does this mean? I identify as a lesbian, but I don't really want to be a boy or a girl. Okay, so you don't have to be a boy or a girl. You don't have to fit in the gender binary. You could be somewhere in between. You don't have to be exactly in between, or you could lean more towards the boy side, more towards the girl side, or you could be completely in between if you want to. Your gender is whatever you feel you are. There aren't one or two genders, there's many genders. So embrace whatever you are. It's completely normal to not fit in the gender binary, and it's totally okay. We'll see you next week. Bye. Anything to add to that?